Alrighty. My name is Brooke Leonhardt. I am 21 years old. I grew up in Sacramento, California, but right now I am currently living in Provo, Utah, going to UVU. So I guess what I'm talking about today is my perspective on the word selfish. I feel like there's a lot of talk right now on social media about like self care and self worth. And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people say that self care is taking care of yourself, and then they post a picture of taking a bubble bath and lighting a candle, which to me it's so much deeper than that. Your self worth really starts with you. I go hiking all the time. Well, maybe not so much anymore now that it's getting colder, but in the summertime, I was always hiking, and I was thinking a little bit about life, a little bit, an analogy that I kind of just came up with. So pretty much one day I was hiking and I had a bottle of water, and then I noticed that one of the girls we were hiking with didn't have any water, and so I gave her some. And then another girl was like, "Oh, hey, can I have some water?" And so in this situation, you're hiking and you're giving, 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 and then it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Little by little, it's a couple sips, but then you realize that the hike gets a lot more vigorous and you don't have anything left. You're still able to get through that hike. You're not going to just like pass out and die because you don't have water, but that was something that you prepared yourself for, and you'd like to still move forward, but however, now you're dehydrated. You've given like all you can give, and you don't have anything left for yourself. So I guess pretty much that whole analogy is just kind of illustrating that sometimes you have to be selfish to be selfless. You can give, and you can give some, but you have to realize like how much you can truly give of yourself to other people before you've pretty much either been taken advantage of or disregarded what your limits are. So as I was thinking about that on my hike, I don't know why I was thinking about that so deeply, but yeah, it's like a modern version of the 10 virgins. I mean, it's something that we've had to really consider since day one. But even you kind of reflect that on life, where like for me, I'm the oldest in my family, and thankfully my very much so my personality trait is to just give to people. But at one point I had to realize that, and not necessarily with family, whether it was like with friends or other relationships that I had, whether it was just connections or friendships, roommates, whatever it was, I had to realize at some point that I had lost myself because there wasn't any reciprocity. The relationship wasn't equal, and so I had given so much that I had nothing left to give. It made me feel dehydrated. I had nothing left. So it wasn't until I was really able to take a step back and ask myself, what is most important. And it sounds selfish, but what's most important in my life is me. And again, like it sounds like it has a negative connotation, but you're the one person in your life that you have to consistently check up on and ask yourself, okay, how am I doing today? How am I reflecting? And if you can't give yourself that time, then you can't give to anyone else. So to be selfish is to be selfless. I came across this like article. Pretty much it said like treat others the way that you want to be treated is the phrase that pretty much tell children as they grow up. But what we need to start telling ourselves is treat you how you want to be treated so that you can treat others in that way. So the more love that you can give to yourself, that you can reciprocate that to other people. So it's like however much you love yourself is how much you can love others. I mean, obviously, like we lived together for what, a year and a half?
We lived with each other for a while, and I think you were there when I was really growing into myself. Whether you and Jimmy were married, or I was calling you like consistently. But there was a semester up at school where honestly I felt like my life was just like coming to a stop. I mentioned I'm the oldest in my family, and I think it's been more recently my family's kind of noticed that I really have been someone that everybody kind of turns to. But even more so, there was just a lot, all my relationships at that point where I was really taking a shift and figuring out what was most important. I had some family things come up, and I had to be there for people in my life who were important to me. And I had some friendships and relationships that weren't necessarily the most healthy. And it took me to a point where I had to ask myself, who's really important? And obviously, like, yes, my family is important, but I had to focus on me for a little while in order to give back to them. And there were relationships in my life that I had to just kind of cut off. And in a way, that was probably selfish of me to tell someone that I had known for a good point in my life and say, like, you're not giving me anything here, and this isn't gonna work. Whether that's a friendship or a relationship that's romantic or whatever, like, at some point we have to really ask ourselves, how much are you willing to give to be able to live.
No, I totally love how you phrase that. You have to give and you have to take, and it's got to be balanced. But yeah, pretty much what had happened was I had felt completely and utterly just like the life had been sucked out of me because I was just giving too much to people without giving to myself. And granted, there was a lot of other things going on at that point in my life, but it wasn't until I was able to focus on what was most important, which was what I was doing with my life, to really focus on others. And as I kind of like say this, like, it just like it rubs me the wrong way, but I think it's because we like were all raised in this culture to like not be selfish. And I used to really think that way until I listened to this one lady. She was talking about like motherhood in one of her podcasts, and she was saying how as a mother she has the most selfless relationship with her children because those children like depend on her to survive and she has to give to them. But at some point she had to realize that she had to be selfish to be selfless, and she had to give herself her life back in order to give her full attention to her children and to let them grow up and be who they want to be by seeing like their mother as an independent and like awoken person. She wasn't just a mother who was working as a robot to cook and clean, but she was 100% like her character because she gave her time to her children but also to herself and was really able to focus on her in order to give them the fullest potential that she possibly could.
I totally, totally love that. And as we come to the end of the 10 minutes, it flies by really fast. You don't think it's going to, but it flies by fast. I just want to say, like, everything that you said, I think resonates with me in a very personal way. And I definitely think that it's going to resonate with anyone who does decide to listen to this podcast, because there's a lot of people that I personally know that do give more than they take, and they're in relationships where the other person, friendship or a romantic relationship, where the other person only takes, and both relationships, no matter what kind of relationship, I do completely agree with you where one side has to give and take, and so does the other side. There can't be a misbalance of either giving or taking. So thank you so much, Brooke, for coming on my podcast. I know that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that a lot of other people are going to thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.